Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Chat, Stats, and Fun Facts season preview from the Drive Pink Dialogue. On today's episode, we are talking about Hector David Martínez, the center back that came halfway through the season. Saur, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I say David Martínez?
Trojan Warrior, just because of his name, but also the way he plays. Because sometimes he just goes in for the kill, comes out maybe a little bit bloodied, maybe not. It depends. But he's aggressive, he's fast, he's quick, and he doesn't take prisoners, but sometimes gets taken prisoner himself. So that's what comes to mind when you talk about David Martínez, Hector David Martínez.
Ironically, Hector was a great warrior that went into battle and then got dragged around the city because he lost.
There you go.
A famous loser, right? 2024, he comes in middle of the season. He is the savior at signing in defense. We knew, especially after Nico Freda got hurt, that we were going to bring in a center back that was going to be the focus of the summer transfer window. He ends up being the guy. He was the guy they wanted in the preseason. They couldn't get him from River Plate. They do get him on loan in the summer. He comes in, he plays 10 games, has an injury in between, 10 starts, 750 minutes, 1 goal, 1 assist. My fun fact is that even though he's 27 years old, this will be his age 27 season, he only has 128 professional games. And that is because injuries have been the absolute bane of his career to this point. And we even saw that last year. He comes in, he plays a couple games, and he has a groin issue. He misses 6 games or so. Where are we at with David Martínez?
He came with a little bit of a bang. I really liked when I saw him in that first game. You could see exactly why they wanted to sign him. He has some really interesting attributes, a very adventurous defender, likes to go forward, has a good pass or two on him, does get stuck in as well, likes to be combative, pushes forward into the tackles, and some really good overall attributes of being a defensive of center back. But then it quickly, I wouldn't say soured, but became a little bit iffy. And the season didn't particularly end well for him. I think he started off on a high note and then ended on as much of a lower note as it was high in the first instance. Because that series against Atlanta, I think he was one of the most poor performers of our squad. I still remember him being absolutely rinsed by the Atlanta forwards in a couple of instances.
Yeah.
And he had direct role to play in a couple of goals. So it didn't end really well in terms of the season, but he's got this season to make amends and get it back in terms of just the form and the confidence of the fans.
Yeah, Jamal Tiare, the Atlanta striker who certainly brought the pace to that series. I think this is one of the most interesting conversations to have this season and this preseason about any in specific player, because I think you could be so negative or so positive based on where your brain kind of takes you. And I think it's justified either way. I will say you're absolutely right. He showed up and it was flashy, and his ability on the ball to spray it around, especially that dump over pass to Jordi Alba up that left side, is super impressive. Having a left-sided center back was really nice to have again after when we traded Kamal Miller earlier in the calendar year. And so you saw him and you were like, wow, this guy could be awesome. And then he gets hurt again. And then you see him be very adventurous. He does move into the midfield. He does move into the final third and tries to be a playmaker in that. And you think to yourself, okay, well, with this midfield and this back line, maybe you really need to have your center back stay back there, and it can come back to cost you. And I think it did a little bit in that Atlanta series. So I think either way you could say, wow, very flashy, very toolsy. I like what I see. But on the other hand, he's now 27. He's not 21. And you're wondering, what can he really be this year? The other dynamic that we have to add is that he's only going to be on loan until the end of June. So basically when the Club World Cup ends, his loan will end. Now, Inter Miami has a purchase option for $3 million. Is Inter Miami going to exercise that? Is David Martínez going to earn? Is he going to be so good that Miami has no choice but to exercise that? Is there going to be a way that they finagle it so that the loan gets extended throughout the rest of the season? Probably. But until then, there is a hard deadline for this one player, unlike any other player, that we kind of have to figure out what he is, what he's going to be for this team in 2025. And is he going to be worth keeping around? Where are you at from his spot on the depth chart? Maxi Falcone, Toto Aviles, Ryan Saylor, Noah Allen, Sergio Busquets, Ian Frey, and David Martinez. Where do you think he fits in here?
I want to contextualize this a little bit by saying we have to realize that David Martinez came in the middle of the season, and adjustment can be an issue, right? He started off really well, and you saw his form slightly dwindle as the games progressed. So I do want to give him a little bit of credit. Coming in, he wasn't entirely awful or whatever. It just, he set such high expectations and then it didn't meet up towards the end. So maybe starting from preseason, having embedded himself in the squad, he actually becomes a lot more comfortable and understands how he wants to command that back line and how he wants to play with everyone else around him. He may not have realized that you're not able to play as aggressively in this back line because we don't have that many athletic players in the midfield and get overrun quite easily. So that adjustment is still there, and hopefully he is able to adapt better now moving into the second season, essentially, or the 1.5 seasons. At this point in time, I think he's third or fourth on that depth chart. I think our starting centre backs are going to be Maxi Falcone and Toto Aviles. And then I think David Martinez is going to be our third choice centre back. I think Lujan is a little bit of a right back, centre back hybrid, so you can't really call him an out and out centre back. But you can maybe make a case that Noah Allen is slightly ahead of him as well, given his form and how he's been playing. So I'm not really sure. With the first preseason game, he wasn't the first choice in that centre-back position, even though Maxi Falcone hadn't come in yet. And Javier Mascherano decided to go for Noah Allen and Toto Aviles. So I'm not really sure what the thinking there is. But I think realistically speaking, he's a third choice centre-back at this point in time.
I think this could go a number of different ways. Toto Aviles is going to enter his age 20 season. And so maybe Javier Mascherano wants veteran center backs and he goes with David Martinez on the left, Maxi Falcone on the right. Maybe David Martinez isn't his guy and he's just going to let him go in June when his loan ends. And he's going to bring in a new guy in the summer that he wants. That's his guy. And so then maybe Martinez kind of gets relegated to a lower role. It is so interesting and we have no idea. And that's why I keep saying that's why I've said it. This is the most interesting name to have a conversation about because it could go either way in a hurry, really fast. And we have no idea which way it's going to go. I think he could be the starter. I think he could be the starter. I also think he might be like fourth or fifth or sixth choice just because Javier Mascherano is like, Now, I think his talent probably demands he's in that top three with Maxi Falcone and Toto Aviles. I think those three are both true center backs and they have a next level of talent. That's where I'm at right now. But he is left-footed. That also can play a factor. I think he had good chemistry with Jordi Alba going forward. So that could be a factor. So it's just very interesting. I do think he's third as well.
I'm just not sure how well he complements Toto Aviles. You obviously have to keep in mind Aviles's attributes and qualities as well when you're partnering him with the right kind of center back. And it's just, I don't know whether David Martinez's aggressiveness is what Toto Aviles needs to develop. Maybe it is. Maybe it's exactly what he needs. So we'll see. We'll see. You're absolutely right. It's a bit of a seesaw conversation here because honestly, we say one thing and the exact opposite happens. So it's good to cover our bases on that end. But yeah, at least at this point in time with the data set that we have to examine and the sample size, I would say he's number 3 right now. But you're absolutely right. He has 2 good games and you could see him push up as that number 1 center back role perhaps as well. Yeah. So he has the quality.
I think one of the interesting things is how do you partner him to be successful? Because he is a unique player in how aggressive he is in terms of his positioning up the field. And so I think you want to have someone behind him or next to him rather, that is going to cover for that. And I think of our center backs that we've seen so far, and again, I think we're a little premature on evaluating Maxi Falcone and Gonzalo Lujan because we haven't really seen them play yet. But as far as the returning guys, you want someone that can be good in that Hail Mary 101 sort of last man defending. And I think Toto Aviles is okay, is pretty good at that, at least among the quality we have on our team. I think Noah Allen's also good at that, but Noah Allen's a left-sided player. I don't think you want to partner him with David Martinez. So it is weird to think how this exactly fits together. You can kind of see why Tata Martino would have thought this is the perfect combination with Toto Aviles. You can also see why Javier Mascherano might say, maybe not. I think something else is better. Is he going to stay healthy? This is another thing we have to talk about, because I said at the beginning of this episode, the fun fact: 128 professional games. He's 27 years old. That is very little, right? Kremaski and Diego Gomez and guys like that are going to hit that in the next year and a half. So, and they'll be 21, 20. Can he stay healthy for this team? And if he can't, does any of this conversation even matter? Because he probably will go back, because they're not going to want to spend a transfer fee on him if he's continuously injured.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most frustrating things that we witnessed last season, when so many of our centre backs just got injured, were unavailable. Toto Aviles getting those yellow cards, Sergei Christoph injured, Nico Freire sometimes injured. So I don't want another injury-prone centre back, because it can be really frustrating in building some sort of a momentum. And you can see that having so many different centre back partnerships can really mess up a defense. There are now players there to back up in case David Martínez is unavailable or is injured. We have enough depth now in the defensive positions to be able to say, okay, if he's not available and if he gets injured, then we will have enough quality. I see him more as a Christoph who maybe he started a fair few games last season, Christoph, more than I would have liked him to, and did a good job. But I think he's our Christoph for this season now, which is not a bad place to be, because I think he's a better player than Sergei Christoph. And I think you have to manage his minutes, and you're going to start the season potentially not starting him. And once he feels healthy, he's comfortable with his body, you give him a fair few run of games and then see where it goes from there. You have to be careful with him, because you can't throw him into the deep end straight away and play him 5 straight games, because he does tend to get injured.
Yeah, and I'm actually not convinced we have tremendous depth at center back still. Because if David Martínez gets injured, you're really looking at Falcone and Toto starting every game. And if it's not them, you're pulling someone out of position to be the replacement, whether it's Busquets,
Noah Allen as well,
or Gonzalo Lujan, or Ian Frey, but another player you don't want to rely on to be. So like you're 2 injuries away from pulling guys out of position on a consistent basis to fill in. So, and one of those is David Martínez, who has a long history of injury. So I think keeping David Martínez healthy is very important. And I think that's why he might only be here until June. And I hate to say that, because I think this is, for his career, a really important year. He came off the injury. He lost his spot at River Plate. That is understandable, because you were gone for a year and a half, but you kind of have to bounce back in your career. And you thought this move to Inter Miami would be that. The coach that brings you in leaves after 10 starts. Now, if it doesn't work under the new coach and another year's gone by and you've only played, 15, 18 games, it is a tough situation to be in for David Martínez, especially because he's a 27-year-old that doesn't have exciting potential. He's not a 20-year-old that has exciting potential. He's a 27-year-old that hasn't played a ton of games. So it's a huge year for David Martínez, and I think he's got to step up. Like, I think this is on him as much as anyone else. Okay, predictions for 2025. I put the over-under at 25.5 appearances, and this basically means he lasts throughout the year and he doesn't have any significant injury. And so I think if he's here for the whole year and he doesn't have a significant injury, he will get the 25. He'll get 26 appearances. But will he get that if he leaves in June, at the end of June? I don't think so. And will he get that if he has a long-term injury? Of course not. So what do you think?
Under. I'm going to go under.
I'm going to go under too, because I don't think he's going to be here. I think that his salary and his position on the roster and the international roster slot is going to be something that Javier Mascherano wants to use on a player he likes, not on a player that Tata Martino liked. And we saw the same thing with Facundo Farias. We saw the same thing with Matias Rojas. Like, not that he's a bad player. It's not a comment on his quality. I think it's a comment on Javier Mascherano has the opportunity to move a guy that he didn't bring on and bring in a guy that he likes and wants to bring in. And I think he's going to do that. So I'm going under here.
Yeah, the best ability is availability, man. So for me, I think he's going to, if he can stay fit, then that's very good for the team. And I'll be very happy with that. But I think it's going to be an issue.
I also think this is the one player we have the biggest chance of being wrong about, because I also think there's a chance where he is absolutely locked in dominant number one. And I think that's what we saw in his first couple games at Inter Miami, was a guy who could be that stud. But wholly contextually, we haven't seen him in the preseason much. We'll see where this team goes. But right now, I think that is the conversation with David Martínez. And I think that's where I land on it. Anything else for David Martínez in 2025 that you have? Hot takes, predictions, anything like that?
No, just good luck to him. Hopefully he stays fit. And if he can help the team win games, I'm going to be on board the David Martínez train.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for being a part of this, and we will see you in the next one. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this, and have a wonderful day.